What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another good old Thirsty Thursday. Today it's going to be kind of a fun catching up show because a couple of weeks back I saw a couple of videos come out from amphibious detecting, and I hadn't seen that name in quite some while. My good friend Patrick hadn't put out videos recently for a good while, and today. So I got a hold of him once I seen his videos out and realized that we hadn't talked since the beginning of 2022. And I invited him on today. I'm going to go ahead and grab him on up, and then we'll say hello to everybody. Patrick, my good man, what's up?
Not too much. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm ready to have a conversation today. It's like catching up with an old friend. It's going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to it. See
Hey,
a lot of people in the chat. It's great.
Yeah, we'll get this thing a few minutes to roll in a little bit, but we'll say hi at the moment. Papa Rouse Bill was in here early today at 6:56. Dang, Bill! But first liked and shared. The sharing is huge, guys. If you want to help me out a little bit, if you want to help Patrick out here at Amphibious Detecting, hit that share button. See how many people we can get in. Also, we are live on Facebook tonight as well. On my page over there. Make sure you stop by and like and follow that one as well. Miss Grandma Kelly was in here the second, and she says, "What second is the winner?" Yeah, being second's good too. It's better than being last. The PA relic hunters are in the house. Could be Dave, could be Rich. Don't know, but thank you. If time allows today, traveling hobbyist Matt and Lindsey's in the house, and if we get a few minutes tonight, we're going to swing by their channel and help get them a boost with some subscribers and a few watch hours. See if we can get a few people over there to help them out.
Cool.
Our good friend Jay Paul, Mr. Brian Olier is in the house. What's up, Brian? My new friend Andrew is here. Hello. I have a crazy cool story from yesterday. Finding two 20s, 14 signals, and a 5 in a ditch across from my house. What sounds like a good story. You ever find money, Patrick?
Paper money? Gosh, not in a long time.
Yeah. Everybody else seems to have luck finding that except for me.
Yeah.
I could use some paper money. Matt and Lindsey on their magnet fishing channel, Stuck on You. What's up? Silver Assassin metal detecting. What's going on, Brian? Nice to see you. Also, there is Patrick's channel right there. If you haven't seen his videos, they are well done, put together very well, informative. He teaches along the way, and a very good detector. So please check out Amphibious Detecting. That's the big point of tonight's live.
Gosh, that's some nice compliments there. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, it's all good. I like your videos, so that's why I say it. Our other friend, Mr. Kevin at Woodland Metal Detecting, is in the house. Thank you, sir. And then it's going to go a little faster because now we're getting the repeats. Miss Tracy Jones, across the pond in Great Britain. Thank you. Our good friend, Mr. Kevin Hawthorne in Lakeland, Florida. Tom Kingery, welcome. Backbreaking Metal Detecting, what's going on? AZ Treasure Hunting Duo, thank you, thank you. Miss Amanda, just chilling. Tom, thank you for being a member. 14 months, I appreciate it. James Eller's in the house. Any of you that have won here recently, I'm building up a lot of things to go to the post office with. So my most recent winners have not been mailed out yet, but I will let you know when they do go. David Coombs over in Great Britain as well. MH Plays. It's been a while. It has. Thank you so much. Trying to remember names. Let us see. Martin Smythe's in the house. What's going on? Thank you. You're on that list. Still waiting to be sent out. Thank you for the like over on Facebook. Whoever dropped that in, I appreciate it. Hey, there's somebody for Miss Sarah. You know Miss Sarah?
It's my wife.
Well, hi, Miss Sarah. It's nice to meet you. Thank you for stopping by. I see names I don't know, and immediately it triggers me. What's good for her to stop in here and say hello? Mine wouldn't dare.
She's pretty supportive. She's the one that convinced me to buy a metal detector to begin with.
Oh, cool. Well, that's a story we'll talk about, I guess. I didn't know that. Miss Charlie's in the house. What's up, Charlie? How are you doing today? Just for your information, next week will be perfect because I don't have anything planned if you want to come up next week. 513, Trevor's in the house. What's going on, buddy? Wayne, Expressions of the Outdoors on the road, probably at Freedom Fest right now. Wish I was there. Erica's Adventures. I got to get to the bottom. Thank you for being a member for 15 months, Wayne. I appreciate that. And backbreaking, thank you for 15 months. Let's see. I know I said it, I think Erica's Adventures. And we're going to get to the bottom here in just a second. Zampella. Love it. Keep it up, guys. I'm not familiar with the name, but welcome to the chat. And I think that gets us to the very bottom. So, as I recall, thank you, Charlie. We'll talk. We'll chat this week a little bit. So, as I recall, I looked it up. The last time you and I talked on a stream together, it was the beginning of 2022, and then evidently you kind of just disappeared off the face of the planet sometime shortly thereafter that. What's
You?
been going on? How have you been for the last couple of years? Let's get me caught up.
Well, so during that period of time, me and my now wife we were dating, so we moved in together. And I had this property where we had a couple houses that were camps built in the 20s. And so over the course of that 2 years, I demolished those homes. Sarah did run the backhoe for a little bit, knocking them down. And we went to go build a house there, and it just one of my neighbors we ended up buying their place. So it was a lot of work, and we ended up in a house at the end of the day. But we ended up getting married too. So it was just a really busy, kind of crazy 2 years where the time to go out and metal detect and make videos wasn't really there. So that's what I've been doing in that 2 years period of time. And then kind of things slowed down. And in October, I started making videos again.
Wow. So that's a lot to go on in 2 years. Backbreaking gifted 5 memberships. I will add you to the July giveaway, and we'll see you then. We'll talk about that maybe later or next week. Well, that's a lot. So you demolished 2 houses. Did you build a new one, or what did you do there?
No, so we knocked them down. At some point I've got to download this footage off this old phone I have because I like treasure hunted the houses as I ripped all the walls down. Like I took all the sheetrock out and everything, right? It's like I found a silver washing quarter in one of them and some really random stuff and weird nooks and crannies that had been sealed up for who knows, probably since the 40s. But that was really fun. So right now it's just a lot. When COVID happened, it really changed the dynamics of what it costs to build a home. It's not just the interest rates that went high. It's like the materials went high, the labor went high. So it just became cheaper essentially to unfortunately like buy a house. And hopefully things come down because my best friend lives next door. He's looking at building a home, and it's really challenging right now for those sorts of things. So um but yeah, that's kind of like the home demolishing thing. That was sketchy. Like I didn't have a big excavator. I had a 1978 Ford 555 going around chipping away at this 2-story home and knocking it over. And it worked out. We got it done. Me and Justin got it done.
So you've got a clear lot that you want to build on. You're just waiting for the time for materials and interest rate to come down.
He's going to build on the lot. So it was one big parcel of land, and it had 3 buildings on it, but they're all one piece. And so we ended up getting it subdivided. So uh, his lot's the one that's going to have a house built on it. He's going to build a house there, I think, at some point in the near future. So
Yeah, I don't know that you can count on material costs going down anytime soon, or interest rates for that matter. It
yeah,
doesn't
no,
seem like it's really taking that dive back again. We'll wait and see. Never can tell. It might happen, but
I know, I know. It's like everything's in flux right now. Who knows?
yeah. So it's kind of why me and the wife feel like we should just we're not doing anything above and beyond, because when the rates bottomed out, we bought this place that we're in now, and we
Hmm.
refinanced our other house so that and we got the rates both. We're locked in around two, or just there, just north of 2%. So it's the best that it's ever going to be, I think, for us. So we're just holding on to what we got, getting everything paid off, and then maybe that'll be an investment that helps us retire at some point going forward. So we kind of got set, and I think we really just kind of lucked out, because
Yeah.
every the timing.
Yeah, so like me and him, we've been kind of distracting ourselves with other things. We've been working a lot on cars and stuff like that, and he's looking for a first generation Nova if anyone out there in YouTube land's got one. But it's that's kind of what we've been doing. I am metal detecting a lot again, so that's been a lot of fun. Since October, I think the 16th, I think is when I made my first video back. But now we're at the end of the school year, and it's just getting crazy once again. This last month, getting the kids to pass all the exams and get them out the door. So
That's right. You teach.
I am an automotive teacher.
Wow. So in like a trade school, or is that like, what is that?
No, I teach at a regular high school. They just have a lot of kids there that want to take the class, so they can afford to have a dedicated automotive program.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
So as far as like the channel and stuff goes, when and you know what, and not to mention we'll just start here. You said that you've been putting videos out for about the last 6 months.
Hmm.
I never saw a single thumbnail until about 3 weeks ago. So it took you that long to kind of get back into your feed, because it never popped up for me. And I pay attention to the
Yeah,
people that I watch. But the other thing that I noticed that was real interesting is that the last time that you had dropped a video prior to that was about 2 years ago, and it was when you were with it was the Swing and Donna
hmm,
metal detecting group hunts treasure or something like that.
yep.
And your videos at the time were doing, like average views, three, four, 500. But when you revamped your channel and start putting out videos, your videos seem to be getting a lot more traction since you came back. Are you doing something different?
Yeah, it's funny because when I first came back, it was like an anomaly, right? I had like 5, 6, 7 videos that did really well, and then after that, they just, it's back to like 2, 300 views. And I don't know if that's just kind of YouTube saying, "Hey, you took a break. We'll kind of get you back on the special sauce." I don't know. It's I think that what I'm trying to do now is think less about, like, when I was making videos before, it started to feel very much like show and tell in first grade. And so I think what I'm trying to do now is provide a little bit more value for what I'm doing. Like, if you're going to watch something, you either want to learn something or you want to be entertained by something, or like, why would I watch it, right? So I want to be able to look back and click on a video of mine in 10 years from now and actually be able to have the patience to watch it. So I'm trying to focus on making videos that way, and it's been doing okay. Like, sometimes it's hit or miss. You do well on one, you do poor on another.
It's interesting that you say that, because I have our own little group of detectors, and we do premieres on Mondays,
Hmm.
and we all sit and we talk about stuff like that, and trying to not necessarily go out and just show what you find, like you
Yeah.
said, show and tell. It's more of trying to set. It's like create a story, a
Yeah.
setting. What's going on here? Why are you here? Just to kind of give people that are watching a little bit more reason to hang around to see what's going to happen, instead of 17 coins coming out of the ground in a 15-minute period.
Yeah, because that's the age-old question, right? I mean, I talk to people who make YouTube videos all the time, and especially in the detecting space, someone might have the preconception is, man, my videos should have done better because I had the most amazing things I've ever found, and it's like relative to another channel, even they're really incredible. But if you think about, okay, you have your organic audience, right? You have the people that watch your videos every week. They're going to be impressed by it. And so it's going to get promoted out to a wider audience. But that wider audience is really going to be people that are very marginally interested in treasure hunting, maybe in general. And so when they see it, they're probably not going to know what makes it special or why it's a really amazing find or how rare it is or what the value is.
So the goal is, to make it relatable to people that are not in the community.
Correct. So I try and focus on making it relatable for people that aren't actually swinging metal detectors.
I think when I started going back, and I wanted to make sure that I caught a few of the videos and stuff like that, and it felt like it had a higher production value. It felt like, and a lot of us watch to learn from other people as well, right? I
Yeah.
want to see
Yeah.
what you're pulling out of the ground, and I'm going to see how you're presenting it, and maybe that I can help myself evolve. That's the great thing
Yeah.
about being a part of a community, is
Right.
that we all learn from each other. Uh, but they are evidently doing quite a bit better, and I noticed that your thumbnail style has changed quite a bit.
Keep
In
playing
the
around
time
with it, that's for sure.
I see that you find a lot of old photographs as well, and you're
Yeah.
kind of throwing the black and white in there, and I think that looks really good. It catches my eye. Did you have anybody help you with that, or was that just something that you just wanted to try? How'd that come about?
Well, so like I have I have a lot of people in the community that I talk to that, Brandon from Adventure Archaeology is one of them, and there's some other folks out there. I discuss different ideas and we pitch things to one another. But like the idea for the thumbnails was kind of my own because I just kept playing around with different styles until I found something that seemed to work. And for me, like those black and white images, I make those images. I take a photograph. Some of them are indeed old photos, but a lot of them are like a picture of the home in modern day, and then I'll convert it to black and white, and then I'll find the old, like some old images of the people that might have lived there and transpose them on there. And it's when you use a program like Canva, it's super easy to do that.
Yeah, Canva is, for especially. Are you on a paid version, or do you use the free version?
No, it's paid, but it's for the $9 a month for somebody like me that doesn't know anything about technology, it's so much handier. I used to try and do a lot of it on my phone,
Hmm.
but I'm already like, okay, this camera, this phone, that back and forth. I'm too ignorant to know how to adequately transfer files, so I'm saving them to Drive, and then it just you can only learn so much in a day.
Absolutely. I was just kind of going over, and every expression on your face is pretty much different on every video. I think they kind of make me laugh a little bit. So they are attention getting. I think it's
They
I
got a
think it's
lot of
good.
work that needs to be done. I just keep playing around with it, and I'm trying to set my expectations really low because at the end of the day, I'm not a monetized channel. I'm not making any money on YouTube. I'm just kind of doing this for fun. So like anybody, we all want to have some level of success with it, and we want people to see the videos, and so I'm trying to like balance that.
Yeah, absolutely. I just flipped through the pages, and like I said, is that when I saw the name, and it sparked a memory, because sometimes when you don't see somebody's name pop up for a while, you kind of you just kind of that you lose sight of them.
Mhm.
You kind of forget who that person is. And I was like, wow. So, like I said, immediately afterwards, I watched a video or two, and then I hunted you down on Facebook, and I was like, well, he was in my friends list, but never chatted, and I couldn't quite grasp all of it. So, what is it like to go 2 years without metal detecting? Because I don't know that I could do that.
I did some. When to make videos, I'm going out pretty much every weekend, or sometimes if I can on the weekend, I'll go out. Especially this time of year, you can get out during the afternoons. My job lets out at 3:30, and it's a city job, so like there's parks around there that are old, so I can pull off detecting for a few hours. But during that 2 years, I did some stuff. I just didn't really record it. I kind of just went out and enjoyed it, and to see what it was like to not record it so much. And I find that with a camera, it adds like the extra element of fun for me. It's like, man, I get to remember this. I get to look back, and so for me, that's the contextualization that I need.
Yeah. So the day that I found the Excelsior button was a day I chose to not record, and not that I aimed to not record, but we were working on a vehicle at the house,
Yeah.
and my GoPro is on my hat, and I left it on the ball hitch of my boat that day. So all I had with me was my phone. So I did record, and it's funny that we bring that up because I'm actually going through. I made a few clips that day, but everything's in the vertical form because I thought, well, if I make anything today, it'll be shorts. The new permission ended up being really decent, and then going back to my favorite spot in the park. Uh, what tell some of the people the well, first of all, you're in New York,
Yep.
so there's a lot of old ground in New York. Very old ground in New York. What is uh what is some of the average good targets that you find on a normal hunt?
Like old flat buttons, stuff from probably more like the 1830s, 1840s era. You do find some older ones. I don't really hunt as many old properties as a lot of my peers do. I hunt a lot of homes. And as a side note, to be honest with you, I had this discussion with someone the other day. The homes for me, the videos where I do like a home that's from the 1800s, late 1800s, even and newer, those videos seem to tend to do better. And I think it's just because it's relatable to people. A farm field where you're finding some incredible stuff, shoe buckles or knee buckles or stuff like that. It's actually, I think it's harder to convince someone that that's interesting than when you have structure around. But for me, like it's always so random. It's always so random what you find.
Yeah, thinking of which is that because I live in a very other than right along the river where I live, outside of here, it's just farm fields and places where houses were, and they've been demolished. So I do a lot of farm field hunting, and you're
Mhm.
right, those videos, unless you come up with something for the thumbnail that makes it a grab, most people those don't do as well as uh, things with structure. I guess it's something to drown. I mean, it's a different imagery in the background. It gives you something else to look at. I guess people
Yeah,
have to look past, just what you swing in a metal detector.
I
Uh,
think it's like people can envision finding something in their back. Like they start to get curious about their own backyard. And so I think that that's the relatable aspect of it is like they look down the street and they're like, oh, that old house down, outskirts of town. Like, man, that's not really that different than this place that this guy is detecting. I wonder what that place might have. So I think that's kind of part of it. But farm fields too, like you can make it great. And I'm trying to think of some of the channels that really pull it off very well. But the way
Hoover Boys.
that I've seen people make it really pop is they kind of show like a ghost overlay of what might have been there for folks to get that impression of like, hey, this isn't just like some random cornfield. There used to be a fort here or something, like so it's all how you tell the story, I guess. I'm hardly a blip on the radar compared to a lot of the channels that are in this space, but it's like you said, it's great when there's community around. You can look around and see what other people are doing and see people's successes, and gives you ideas that, and then you can kind of change it into your own idea. And I love that.
I think that's why this small community really is so tight knit, is because that we all just kind of feed off of one another. And I know that technically in the world of YouTube, it looks, the way it's set up, it looks as you all as competition for one another, but it really feels more like, we're just helping to make each other better. I don't even look at it as competition. It just looks like, it's a great time to I can I what is that they say, emulation is the greatest form of flattery, or whatever you say, like that, when you steal somebody's idea and you make it yours, and you can relate that back to say, hey man, I got this from Patrick, man, he had this great idea, and I evolved it into my own, I think it makes metal detecting videos as a whole something that may be more entertaining to watch as we all get better at making them.
Yeah, I mean, and there's something to be said about the fact that YouTube is exploding. Like, I don't know that Spectrum or any of these huge broadcast networks are really going to be able to compete long term with people's interest in watching YouTube videos. I get that, like, hey, you need to have internet, but the idea that you're going to turn to channel 36 to watch Discovery Channel, it's getting less and less viewership as the time goes on. And the videos that you or I or anybody else in the chat makes, there's people in India watching them, in the UK. They're not doing that with these broadcast network shows.
Yeah, it feels like TV is dying, and the other part of that is that you don't know what to watch on TV. I mean, I not speaking for myself, but for speaking for people that I work with, most people that don't do this as a hobby really don't turn the TV on much anymore at home. It's because there's nothing on but things that they don't really want to see, or uh, negative in their lives. So,
Yeah.
uh, this can be a very positive place as well for people. And I think that's another reason why you get these communities of people that kind of stick together, because TV kind of just blows right now. It really does. When we were kids, or when I was a kid, you're a little younger than me, but we would sit around and, you would wait for your favorite sitcom on Wednesday night, or your favorite drama TV show, and the family would sit together and watch it. And I can't remember, when my kids were little and starting to grow up, we all started watching stuff in different rooms on different devices. And, that whole idea of TV is kind of going out the window.
Yeah, I think that probably what's going to happen, it's going to be interesting. And when you talk about people kind of stepping up their game and we're all getting better as creators, probably the fatal blow will be YouTube will do what they're doing with audio. So they're populating playlists really accurately for what you'd want to hear. And I think they're going to end up doing that with our channels and just putting out like packs of, hey, if you're into metal detecting, this is like, we'll tweak it a little bit, but here's like a variety pack of channels and specific videos, and just like auto plays. And that'll probably be what people want. And then it'll accurately predict, hey, the next thing I want to see is car detailing. So it's like, oh, Ammo NYC and WD on all those channels are, then they're onto that. That's kind of how we interact with it right now, but I think it's going to fine tune, and it'll be fun for everybody.
I mean, yeah, just figuring out what's next, I think is the key to some. If you're looking for some kind of success, is kind of the key to it. If you can see what's coming, it makes it a little bit easier to do. Uh, so you got married. That's a big
Yeah.
step in 2 years.
Hmm.
I mean, is this your first time being married, or?
First and last, my friend. I won't do it again. I
Oh,
don't know. It's funny. I was I met my wife, and I was probably, I'll call her, best friends with her for like 6 years. Right. I met her car racing, and so we went to do this. Like, if you know what Cannonball Run is, this is a really accurate representation of what this car race was. It was 180 miles in a day. and it was a lot of fun. And I was in front of her in my car. She was behind. I knocked her right out with a cigar, dipped a left turn. She got lost. She won the Marco Polo Award. It was great. And then, I don't know. We started hanging out, and I told her this story about I live on a lake, and that's why these things were camps. They're built way back. And I told her this story about how my parents, who used to own this place, um, they always told me how back in the early '80s, some woman came over with like a 2 carat diamond ring, took it off, put it on the dock to go water skiing, and somebody sat down and flicked it into the water, and it was never seen again. And as a kid, I used to go around with a mask and just fan the silty bottom looking for this thing. And I found a lot of cool stuff. But with the nature of invasive species, now the water clarity is horrible. There's zebra mussels, there's Eurasian milfoil in there and stuff. So it's a lot murkier than it used to be. And she's like, well, why don't you just get an underwater metal detector? And I'm like, you're an engineer. That's why I didn't think of this. You're smarter than I am. So I got one, and I never did find that ring. Underwater is really hard because around docks and stuff, there's just thousands of nails. And
Yeah.
you can't really suck them out with a magnet unless they're loose. So I keep looking, maybe someday it'll turn up. But the bottom is so strange in this lake. There's shallow rock in some spots, and then there's like a hard pan layer from erosion where gravels come out of the shore, and then underneath that is just like a layer of organic. So who knows how deep that thing might be.
I mean, last year, well, I'll go back to just a little over a year and a half ago, maybe right at 2 years. Um, Mark and Angela, to dive and detect, or detecting the shores, what they call their stuff now, is I bought the Nemo from them.
Yeah.
They got the Nomad or whatever, and I got their old Nemo because I didn't have a lot of money at the time, and they allowed me to buy it on a teenage credit plan. So I sent them a couple $100, for over a course of a couple months until I paid for it. But last year was the first year that I really got out and used it, and my underwater detecting videos are horrible, bro. You get out there and you can't. The one thing that you'd realize is that in a lot of these lakes, there's zero visibility. So
Yeah.
you're basically detecting blind, and did a really good job of finding stuff on these swim lakes, but it's really hard to make a good video out of it.
So Johnny's saying, and he's saying how the zebra mussels filter the water to clear it, and they do. But the problem with zebra mussels is that they also kill this little creature called zooplankton, and zooplankton eats the algae. And so what you have is this weird like ecology problem where there's no predators for the algae, so the algae explodes, and then the algae will grow faster than the zebra mussel's ability to filter it out. And the byproduct is then the zebra mussels seem to have these periods of die off, and the outcome has been there's like a layer of black algae that just sits on the bottom of the lake that's maybe this thick, an inch or two thick, and you start fanning it away, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So there's still good quality of water in the column, but down around the bottom, it's tough, So I don't know. It was nicer when there was no invasive species in the lake. I wish we could reverse that, but you travel around, and that's the nature.
Yeah, where I work, our casino is on a boat, and we take in river water for our chillers and stuff like that, and we clean out strainer baskets, every
Mm.
single day. And the zebra mussel has taken over the Ohio River for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
I've
thick.
seen them at 9 Mile Point, which is a nuclear power, like a bunch of nuclear power plants up in Pulaski on Lake Ontario, and I saw some pictures where they like literally sealed the inlets into the plant. They got so thick. So they had to like divert, scrape all that off. It's like, wow.
Now, ironically enough, when we were last fall, we were in northern Michigan at Torch Lake, and that's one of the clearest lakes I've ever been on. And they were not there at all. I didn't see them. The only thing that I saw up there that was really different, and I don't know much about uh, the animal species in the water. But they had a freshwater goby that was in that water that you could barely see. And when you were down on the bottom diving, you could run across them. And they don't have a propulsion system. They just kind of bounce around. And it seemed like they were eating just about everything off the bottom. But that was some of the clearest lake water I'd ever been in.
Nice.
Yeah, that was fun diving up there. Uh, that lake has a thing called the sandbar, and it's 3 foot of water that you can run around and metal detect in. People party there all summer long, and you can go off to an end and look over the edge, and it drops to 350 foot in a matter of like 6 feet. It goes straight down.
No thanks. Not the
Yeah,
stuff
that
it's
was
going to take if you're wearing a bunch of weight. No.
well. See, when you got your weight belt and a wetsuit on, because that water was like 64 degrees, which is not very warm for water, and you got your weight belt on and you're using it to hold yourself down, and then where this drop off is, there's a canal over here, and it turns into a river off of this lake, and it gets current, so you get sucked, that tries to suck you off that sandbar out into that current, and you're wearing a weight belt, and you really don't want to have to cut it loose and drop it, because your weight belt is
Right.
livelihood out there. But yeah, it was definitely kind of scary looking over a ledge, and you could see the sunlight until you just couldn't see it no more, so you knew how deep it was.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a spot on our lake that's like that. And, geologists have a certain theory about it. Everyone's got a theory. Well, the lake that I'm on was formed when the glaciers were this far south from Canada. And what I think it is I think it's the basin of probably a mile high waterfall. It's a deep hole, like it's an anoxic area of the lake. There's zero oxygen in the bottom because the water can't circulate. It's a canyon. It's so steep. So there's 8 other lakes like this in the country, and they're all volcanoes. And so it's just nobody. They've had colleges trying to study this because it's so deep they can't hit the bottom, and because there's no oxygen, they're snapping off drill heads in like 20,000-year-old trees that are still solid trees. But that's the thing, like when you're in the water and you go to the edge and you peek, it's just straight down. It's like, oh my gosh.
So, if no oxygen in the water due to no circulation, so
Mhm.
is that why the trees stay hard? Without the oxygen in the water, they can't
There's no
deteriorate?
bacteria that exists down there. Nothing can survive. It's crazy. If we've taken water samples down there and you have to take them in a vacuum cylinder, because if I had this cylinder of water, right, and you're looking through a transparent cylinder, this eerie green color, as soon as you crack the seal, it turns to, the best way I can describe it is, if you've ever opened the radiator on like a 1970s car that's been sitting in a back field for 30 years, just looks like liquid rust. And it instantly rusts the entire water column because it's depleted iron. There's no oxygen in that water. So it's just waiting to be oxidized. So it's crazy.
So, the second that you put oxygen to the water, the iron becomes visible in the water.
Hmm.
I've never seen or heard of anything like that.
Yeah, it's a weird, if you're interested, it's called a Meromictic Lake.
Yeah, I am interested. My problem is that I'm interested in way too many things. But yeah,
That's it, right? There's,
man,
my cousin, when I was younger, he's a smart guy. He told me, he goes, life, your brain's like a vat of test tubes. Think of yourself, you're in chemistry class. You have all these test tubes. And when you're young, you've got a bunch of extra empty test tubes. But as you get older, you fill them all up. And now you have to pick which one to pour information off of to be able to have room for new stuff. It's like, gosh, that's so true.
yeah, that's how I am. I can be I can get sucked into just about anything. Another one of my hobbies that I don't do in here at all is I love reef keeping. Keeping personal small saltwater reefs. I love the whole environment, all the things that make a reef work. Uh, JSP, thank you, brother. Definitely much appreciated. But so that's another one of those things that I can get sucked into a hobby so fast, it's not even funny. And I'm not one of these people that go into it light. I'm like, I dive in head first, and
Right.
I'll spend a bunch of money, and then sometimes I realize that I shouldn't have spent that money. My wife lets me know that at times as well. But I guess knowledge is probably the greatest hunger that I get. I like to learn stuff.
My wife's going, I told her I couldn't have a fish tank. We, there's a giant fish tank in the backyard. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you got a lake.
You're right. No, she used to have fish. It's just got to be, it's a lot of work, you know, and especially reef fishing, like, or, you know, keeping a reef tank like you're talking about. I can't even fathom.
It,
There's so much that goes into that to make that work. That good gracious, you know, you go on vacation and something gets out of whack and everything dies. It would kill me.
yeah, that has happened to me before. Um, we went on vacation for 9 days, and this was a smaller one. It was a 55 gallon. I know that doesn't sound small, but um,
That's
it
still a
had
that's still a drum. You know, like at the end of the day, it's a 55-gallon drum.
it basically had about a couple $1,000s worth of coral in there, and the only thing they had to make sure that they did was keep the water level full, and just drop very little bit of the nutrient for the water for the what's
Yeah.
it's like phytoplankton that the some of the things in there eat, and the dog must have unplugged the one of the pumps, and I come back and I had about most every coral in there was starving for oxygen. Basically, had light, didn't have oxygen in the water because my pumps were not churning it, so it didn't have circulation, and it was a mess to try to get it cleaned up. I had to take everything out, and so that was the last time I went away for long periods of time with my reef tanks, and since then I sold most of my corals, and I haven't put one back together for a while. I guess once you get burnt like that, it's real easy to not go back, but it's a great hobby. It's definitely fun to get into. Hey Russell, thank you very much. We don't I don't think we're very interesting. We just know just enough about things to be dangerous.
Isn't that the truth?
So, other than the metal detecting and the new wife, what else do you like to do for fun? I know you said you work on cars or you teach that, so that sounds more like work.
I know, you know, that's the balance. Is before I got it, I used to be a middle school teacher, and so I wasn't working on cars, and then this job came available to do it, and I had always done it as a hobby. You know, I was like chasing classic cars when chasing classic cars was on TV is a good way to put it, I guess. Like me and my friends have always really been into vintage automobiles. And so, you know, I've had everything from every decade except for the teens and, you know, 1900. You know, I've had stuff from the 20s on up. And it's so fascinating to meet people you meet and the stories you get. And I think it really transfers nicely over into the treasure hunting space because I'm convinced there's 9,000 different ways to treasure hunt. And guys you see like backyard barn finds or automotive archaeology, like these guys are doing the same thing we're doing with a different medium, you know? So it's just been really fun to to do that. But when I started teaching automotive, yeah, there was a period of time where it kind of burned me out of it for a while, and I'm kind of getting back into having fun working on old cars again. And I I just picked up. I've been looking for 20 years for one. My buddy Justin that lives next door. You know, he had a '69 Camaro in high school. He took me for a ride, and gosh, you know, I had to have that car, and I couldn't afford it at the time. And 20 years later, I was finally able to get one, and you know, pulled it out of a garage and had been sitting there for 20 years. It was literally parked the year I graduated high school and never driven again. So
Wow.
I've been getting it going with the students, and it's been a lot of fun. You know,
So
thankfully you can still get all sorts of parts on things.
you take it to school and let the kids fix your car? What's up with that?
Heck yeah. Well, so this is the fun part about my program is that we only do live work. Until a month ago, I had no school-owned vehicles. And so New York Power Authority donated me a hybrid car to try and train the kids on like the EV system on it, which was nice because, you know, it is something they should know how to safely work around. But we always fix the staff and the students and their parents' cars. So real problems, they have to go buy the parts. We always did the labor for free. And I try and keep a project there of my own at all times, because what I have happen often is I'll make 5 appointments for people and then none of them show up. And so it's really hard to say, okay, kids, I'm sorry, you're here for 2 hours. We need to have something to do. So I always have something floating around, and this has been great for them to work on that.
Yeah, so I mean, the components of a '69 Camaro are really not that complicated.
Not at
Uh,
all.
so, so I, yeah. So, how many kids do you get to take a class like that? And how big's your school?
So the school has about 2,500 kids in it, and my classes are around 25 students apiece. I have 6 classes.
Nice. So, and you just teach the mechanic side of it. You're not auto body or nothing like that.
I wish we had an auto body program. Everyone asks about that, and unfortunately, what happened is, back in the day, there was a stigma associated with blue collar work, and so it really went the wayside. And so all these old vocational programs the school used to have, when the teacher would retire, they'd look to replace them. But in order to get a degree to teach this job, unless you like, I had to work in the automotive industry for a little while to be able to get it. And a lot of people aren't willing to work in an industry and effectively make more money and then go back to school and spend money to go make less money. It doesn't really compute. And I don't blame them for that. But I went to school to be a middle school or high school industrial arts teacher. So I already had the degree. And while I was in college, I was working in the automotive field. So it worked out. But I don't know anybody else who's going into it that way. And as a result, a lot of these programs have been cut.
Okay, so like I definitely don't like going down political paths or stuff like that, but it your perspective interests me on certain things.
Sure.
Um, my dilemma that I see is trying to hire people in a technical field when people are not going to be a la plumbers, electricians, welders. These schools, the trade schools, are going empty. Trade schools flourished in the '90s. Everybody flocked to them, right? Everybody. That's where you learned a good piece of skilled labor. But the graduating classes in these trade schools, everything's going to a more IT based form. What is your perspective? What do you think that's going to do to the future in 10 years, when I know it's going to drive wages up for premium for skilled labor? I understand that's kind of already happening. But I mean, what is the fallout of that? Because I mean, I know you have to have perspective on something like that.
I think about it all the time, and it's concerning. I mean, a lot of it's geo specific. So if you're living perhaps in a more rural environment, then you're not going to, like trade school is going to be probably a more viable option for you. But when you live in a city environment, it's probably something that's been an afterthought in that environment for a while. But as far as like what you're talking about, I really don't know, because I think about it in terms of automotive, how much evolution has occurred in such a small period of time. And so I can't take somebody that really their capacity is doing exhaust or brakes or tires and say, hey, I actually need the kids that are going to engineering school to go to trade school, because the cars are so complicated now. The problems are so difficult to diagnose and resolve that you really need a high level of understanding of the systems. And it's hard to get that. It's very hard to get that. So the byproduct, like here's a great example. The school purchased a new tire machine for me. And because someone somewhere decided that no longer do we want to see wheel weights on the outside of wheels, there's no flange there for wheel weights. Well, that flange used to be what the tire machine would ride on to remove the tire. So new wheels, and I'm sure you've all seen this, get scratched by these old school rim clamp tire machines. So the solution is a 20 plus $1,000 tire machine that doesn't scratch the wheels, but it is incredibly complicated to run. And so that translates directly to the consumer, where what used to be $15.99 to change a tire is now going to cost more than 50.
Yeah, so I saw a comment and it brought me to basically what you just said there. I just got to go back and find it because,
Yeah,
uh, but so basically, oh yeah, it was right. I saw it was Charlie right there. We're always going to need plumbers, mechanics, and electricians. But here's the thing, and this is what we'll use plumbing as an example. So plumbing, 15 years ago, plumbing was getting your torch out, soldering copper pipe together, or if you lived in an inexpensive home, you were gluing PVC water pipe together.
right.
Well, now they've made the technology has gotten to the point where they make fittings that you can just stick pipe together and run pipe, PEX, put a clamp on it. Things like that are taking away from the torch side of that, and also so they're finding ways to lessen the skill set of a plumber. uh, Mechanics basically to a certain degree are getting to the point where they plug in a computer, it gives them a diagnostic, and then there's in some instances, very little that you have to think about as a mechanic on a newer vehicle. Uh, Electricians still pretty much the same. That's one
Well,
skill set that's
I'll give
pretty
you
much
an example of it's like a frame of reference. So when I think about I'll take the plumber example and think about sweating pipe, and it's like so that aspect got easier, and it's like yeah, I got robots doing some of the welding on Ford's assembly line, but now they're being asked to make radiant floor heating systems and heated driveways and geothermal and put heat collectors on roofs that and so I think that some of the more repetitious tasks have been a focus of let's make this easier because it makes the job more efficient. We can get more production out of somebody. But then the ask is, well, what can we do with that person's time to make it more useful? And it's like the more useful is, hey, let's go crazy with like, towel heaters in homes and all this other stuff. It's getting a little bit crazy out there. Same with the electrician. I mean, all look at the smart home movement, and you'll know that like the field for an electrician isn't the same in 10 years as it is today because everybody wants to be able to voice command their lights and do all these other wonderful things, and it's getting to be interesting.
Yeah, but the basics of electricity are still
Sure.
the same from a panel to the electric
Mhm.
box. They haven't found a way to make that wireless yet. I know they
No.
were trying. I went to a seminar at one of our power providers, and they were trying to create a Wi-Fi network over the electricity in your house. Basically, from everything that your panel touches, they were trying to create a like some kind of uh, I don't even know what it was. It plugged into an outlet and it had basically
Consider it like
created
an
a Wi-Fi.
antenna, right?
What's that?
To treat your electrical system in your house like an antenna, I would think.
Yeah, something to that effect. And they were really confident that it was going to go through. And we were supposed to start to see prototypes, for places. And we were on the list as a business to get them because we have so many. We have a giant electrical grid in our property, but it never really come to fruition. But
Yeah,
it's just kind of interesting to think that the trade schools with a lot of the manual labor type of fields, even though it is skilled labor, nobody's going there, but they're going to the tech end of it through computer programming and stuff like that. It's just that when this generation, because right now I can't, the people that I hire to work in for me in maintenance are 40 to 60 years old on the verge of retirement. They need
yeah.
insurance for a few more years. It's not 23-year-old kids coming out of trade school that are wanting to learn how to be a plumber or an electrician or a painter for that matter. It's everybody's flocking to the IT side, and I have nobody to replace people when they retire.
I think everything exists in equilibrium, and me and my friends always hypothesize about what the future might be. But it's like if the trades get really expensive, people will go into them, and I think we're there. I think that there's enough money uh, being paid that it's getting people's attention, and kids are starting to say, yeah, you know what, that's a viable career choice. I wholeheartedly support it. I think everyone needs to find their own way, and certainly trades is becoming more and more viable by the day to pull that off, which is great because when growing up in the late 80s to the 90s 2000s, it's like, gosh, that wasn't the stigma around trades at the time, which was a shame.
Yeah, that when I was in the trade field, part of it, it was flooded and my wage was really low.
Yeah.
So it took a while for that to build back up, and then and then people stopped going into it, went more into computer programming. You know what the late '90s was like. It was really, that was the time. Before we get, I mean, we've been going almost an hour with this BS session, and that blows me away. A couple other things that I do want to get to today is, first of all, let me get something in here, and y'all are going to hate me in the chat, but let's see if I even did it correctly. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to have. So last week, Rob came up here and Feeding America donations. Made a nice donation, and I got some of the special, uh, the 3 Detectorist in a Tub stickers from Rob FL Thunder. It's got one Papa Rouse, one Mr. Charlie, and one Mr. Rob. I made a nice donation to Feeding America last week through FL Thunder Digging with Rob. If somebody has his PayPal, post it in the chat. I don't have the time to today, but I'm going to give away one of these stickers in my sticker pack today. In the hashtag that it's going to be, we're not going to run a race today. It's going to be hashtag amphibious in honor of Patrick being here with me today. You can enter on the Facebook and or the YouTube side. All of the comments come in through StreamYard, so I see them all. Definitely at the end of the day, I will add to the sticker pack, and we will, it'll be a nice one today. I will definitely give out, but these limited edition stickers for Rob is awesome. So we're going to do that here in just a little bit. So hashtag amphibious in the chat. Please knock it in there if you want an opportunity for a sticker pack. And then the other thing I wanted to make sure that we got a chance to do today is stop by and see my friends Matt and Lindsey. I wanted to do a little bit of promotion. They want to get their hobbyist channel off the ground. It's called the Traveling Hobbyist Adventures. Matt and Lindsey are excellent people. They've become pretty good friends, and I really want to see them get the opportunity, just like with their magnet fishing channel, to grow this one. They have 105 subscribers and a lot of shorts right now currently. They haven't kind of found their way, but if we could just find a way to get over there today and show them a little extra support, maybe that'll provoke Matt and Lindsey to putting out some more content. They have some really good ideas of what they want to do. So that was one of my goals today for the community, is to support Matt and Lindsey at the Traveling Hobbyist Adventures.
Nice.
Yeah. Everybody dropping in the hashtag amphibious. You know what? Hey, hang on a second. I misspelled it when I did it, so we'll have to do this again.
Nah,
Let's see. Let's see if it catches it. I said that doesn't look right. Oh, it's got it. You guys are good. I got 22 entries out of 34 folks in the chat. Please go ahead and fire that in there. That way I know that when we go to end tonight that I'm not going to be running late. But anybody that has a moment, stop by and see Matt and Lindsey at the Traveling Hobbyist Adventures. We will pick another channel out next week, and we will make sure we stop by and see them as well. So I get on a little bit of philosophy there on how society is going to work. Anything that you've knocked off the bucket list in the last couple of years that I didn't know about? I haven't seen all your new videos, I'm not going to lie, but or what are you looking for this year? What's the kind of the goals?
You know what I really like to, I have this obsession with the local trolley line. I would love to find a hat badge from this particular trolley line. It would say Schenectady Railway on it, like a plaque for a hat. That would be amazing. Aside from that, I would love to find that ring in the lake. I just so in the lake, on this particular lake, the significance of the trolley line was that from 1904 to 1927, there was a theme park owned by Schenectady Railway that was on this lake. And so people would swim there. There'd be like 100,000 people a year that used to come here and go swimming and ride a tour boat and stuff. And I've always wanted to find one of those turn of the century gold signet rings, that would have had the person's initials monogrammed on it. I've never found any gold rings in the lake. I've found them in bodies of water, no doubt about it. But here, I have not. And it's very hard to find anything in that area because there's so much iron. And then combined with the iron, at some point in time, a guy trucked in beach sand and it was loaded with 22 shorts. So it must have been from rifle range or something. And that's really tough for the detectors to work with. But 6-inch coil, it'll figure it out, I guess, maybe.
Man, well, the 22 shells in there, that really, really throws you for a loop looking for a gold ring.
Yeah, I mean, you take a lot of them.
That's a very similar signal right there. You're swinging the dais, right? I think you're a dais guy, right?
I do. I bounce between that, a 900 and a Manticore. I got like a smoking deal on the Manticore, so I picked it up. I wasn't crazy about it at first, but it's like anything. I hate every machine until I have 100 hours on it, and then it's like the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I do enjoy the machine. I think that the VDI is absolutely useless on that machine. It's the craziest machine I've ever used in terms of how unpredictable an object is in the ground. Like I'll dig things that are an 8 or a 13 on that machine and it goes 0 to 100. And it's like, no, this thing should have been a mid to high tone. It should not have been so low, but at any solid repeatable object, I just dig it up as par for the course. And just makes me think that, man, there's probably a lot of people missing good stuff with this thing.
Well, I'm a dig it all type of person. If I hear a chirp inside of iron and I listen for iron, a lot of people turn iron off so that they don't hear it. I make sure that I do hear it.
Yeah, same.
Because I like to know because I'll leave my recovery speed a little high, but I want to hear the grunt of the iron. I want to know what's in that area. To me, it works out better that way, and I stay in all metal mode. Metal mode. Whoa, where'd that come from? Did you hear that?
No.
Whoa, that was weird. I can hear it all of a sudden. Did I do something?
No, whatever
I guess it went away. Yeah. But I like all the sounds. I know it's kind of annoying at times when you're in a park and everything's blipping, but it's just I want to, especially when I'm looking in an iron bed, because that's probably the one place most people decide not to look is when they hear a bunch of iron. They try to find the edge of it. I like to play in it. But
yeah,
I swing the legend, and the thing with the legend is that your depth meter and your VDI, the deeper it is, it changes drastically. You lose VDI with depth quite a bit with that machine, and so I just dig solid sounding targets regardless.
That machine, I love to try that out sometime because it sounds very much to me like an Excalibur or a Deus One. I like those machines a lot, the way the audio response is, because it's more like an analog style audio. And I really like that. Those sharp, I find, like, for me, I really like how a signal sounds at the beginning and the end of a signal. Like the middle of it doesn't really matter. And so the newer machines, they kind of cut out the middle or the beginning and end, and they just give you that middle chunk of sound. So it's like blip, blip, it's like, well, gosh, the fade in, fade out was so nice, but I'm kind of off my rocker in that regard. But to your point about iron, what I like to do with iron, having that iron audio on, is like you start thinking about, well, like, why is there a trail of nails leading off into the woods? And so you start following it like a little treasure map. And it's like, maybe we find something, maybe we get lost and never get heard from again. Maybe I'll get married to a bear as wife number 2. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's a good point. That I mean, we grid off areas and we look for hot spots, and as detectors, we follow that. I'm always when especially in farm fields when you find the iron bed, you found the structure, right? Basically, the nails, everything that goes along with it. it it's just that I feel like a lot of people bail on the iron bed as to looking for good targets because they don't like hearing the iron. And I think that's I find that to be ground zero. I love to pick through it. I'll put the small coil on and just sit there and just look for blips and dig them up. Um, I guess to each his own. I guess that may not be the most efficient way to dig, but if I'm on a property, I treat it like I'm never coming back. So
That's right. That's how you find Excelsior buttons.
yeah, that was a trip too. That I can't wait to put my story together for that one.
Yeah,
As soon as I get just a little bit more information from the historical society, I think we'll have it. All I need is a name at this point. I think I've got. If I get a name, I can really do some damage. It'll be a pretty cool story.
yeah, yeah. I'm looking
Uh,
forward to seeing.
yeah, man. We usually go in here until about between 10:15 and 10:30. I got 23 entries so far out of 36 in the chat. Hashtag amphibious. If you want the rub a dub dub 3 detectorists in a tub sticker that you can't get without a donation, then feel free to type in hashtag amphibious. Welcome, Deej. Thank you for stopping by tonight. Also, if you haven't done so, please stop by and see Amphibious Detecting Mr. Patrick. He's been back for about 6 months now, and it took that long for me to see a thumbnail, but I did. Tell me how that works. I got notifications on. Uh,
Well, that's the interesting thing about it, right? Like, I don't blame. It's I can't tell you how many channels that I've subscribed to that I never see their content get published, and it's just the prediction mechanism, and it's actually worse now than it's ever been because when you think about when you go on YouTube, your home page, your home screen, now probably 20% of it is occupied by shorts on the visible side of the screen. So
for sure.
that's 2 rows at 4 videos a piece. So 8 videos that you're just not getting served anymore. So it's more competitive of a space to just randomly appear on someone's home screen, which is fine. Like I'm not trying to conquer the world. I'm just having fun. But for people that are real interested on how to get on someone's home screen, you have it's really based on that individual person's interaction with your content. And so one way to cause that to occur is, of course, you can make shorts. Now shorts are kind of like a double-edged sword because if you're going to go on your metal detecting channel and make a crazy cool cat video, then you might get a lot of traction and you draw in a lot of people that have no interest in your metal detecting video. So it's really important that whatever you create for short content, it's a representation of exactly what they would see if they clicked on a long form video, like right down to the pacing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, YouTube put in a disclaimer type of thing in there that you can make if you don't want to screw with your regular channel, but you want to do a one-off short, you can click it to where it doesn't go to your subscribers, where they
I
don't
do
see
that
it.
every time.
Huh?
I do that every time. I turn notifications off when I make shorts. Every time I turn that off.
Yeah,
I
so
think
you're
it's
looking for a new audience, period, right?
I think it's annoying to people. Like I find it annoying when I'm sub to channels and I get 6 notifications a week, and one of them was for a long form and 5 of them are for shorts. Like I want the notification for long form video. I don't want to be notified about the shorts, and I think that's pretty normal. And so I shut that feature off every time. What it doesn't do, and this is the thing with shorts, is like if someone's interacted with your shorts before, it's automatically going to populate their feed. So they don't need to be notified. If they actually watch those things, they'll see it.
Absolutely. Here in just about 5 minutes or so, we are going to draw a sticker pack giveaway. But the main feature of the sticker pack today is Rub-a-Dub-a-Dub, 3 detectors in a tub. And if you go on Charlie Digging It Back's channel, he does not like the sticker. He tried to pay me not to put these out. And so I thought that was kind of funny as well. But I'm definitely I paid the donation to Feeding America for Rob just so that I could give a few of them out in here, and that everybody has an opportunity to get a couple of those stickers or one of them. Just a few more minutes, so hashtag amphibious. We got 26 in the giveaway, and just a few more minutes, we'll draw that out. Wow, what you got? Anything good coming out on your videos in the next week or two?
I'm super excited. So one of the places that I had been when I wasn't making videos, this occurred, oh, I don't know. It must have been August or September. So my wife's family has some property, and it's a place called the Chautauqua Institute. It's like on the opposite side of the state. It's the oldest gated community in the United States. And in the center of this place, there used to be a railway depot that used to drop people off onto steamboats because it's a huge lake. And so I started detecting in the water there. We're talking ankle to shin deep. And the stuff that's coming out of that spot, it is incredibly good. It's in incredibly good shape. So I'm going back there in a week, and I'm really looking forward to finding or seeing what we can find there, because I didn't film any of it. There we go. I got the example here of, like, this is how the stuff's coming out of the water, you know? So that's a
Wow.
railway baggage tag, and so it stands for Chautauqua Lake Railway, and maybe the X and whatever special means that it was destined for the baggage to be put on a steamship. But this is how the stuff's coming out. No polishing, straight out of the water. And
So,
I've got a bag of stuff from there, and the historian from that institute is going to put a whole display together this summer about it, and people are going to get to enjoy the stuff. So I'm super pumped.
yeah, I mean, if it's coming out of the water that nice, uh, that's really cool, because usually things come out of the water. It's a battle to get them cleaned up. You know, silver turns black, and you
Yeah. So the silver will still be black, but all the brass items, even in the lake here, you can find them in this shape. But what it has to do with is, like, if they're in any kind of mud or muck, they're like oxygen deprived. So there's some kind of, I don't know if it's a reaction or whatever that prevents this corrosion from occurring, but it's just, gosh, like, I didn't find anything too crazy the last time. I found, lamp wick adjusters, and one of the things I found was, it was probably from the 1880s. It was a New York's veterans from the Civil War button, and it was, like a two-piece button. It would have been tin backed, so the tin was gone, so it's just the button face. But it's like, man, like, I never even knew that was a thing, So when you find something you never found before, you know how you get all jittery inside. So I'm super excited to go back and see what we can find there, and all the stuff's going to get donated to the institute, and it's going to be great.
awesome. Just a minute or two left. Hashtag amphibious for the sticker giveaway, and then we will be shutting down here in just a little bit. Be sure to subscribe to Amphibious Detecting and check out Patrick's good work. Does a great job. He's been out of YouTube for a couple years, but came back about 6 months ago.
I was trying to see if I had a piece of silver here. I do have some silver from that area, but yeah, it's like you'd expect. It's all black. But
Yeah, that the water may I that's the thing. When I find a ring underwater and I see that it's nice and black, I'm pretty confident that it's silver, because no other metal really reacts underwater the way silver does. And it's funny, the black comes right off. It just
yeah,
takes a little bit of work.
yeah, and I don't know, like, this is the other side of this hobby, where people sometimes get so animated or defensive about what you should or shouldn't do with your finds. It's like, the way I think about it is, man, if you find a Carson City rare coin, you want to buff it to a mirror shine, buff it to a mirror shine. It's yours. For me, I think I like leaving it just the way it is, because it tells the story of how it was found. So when you find a piece of silver and it's tarnished black, it's like, I leave it that way. I love that. where else are you going to find a piece of black silver other than in the water? You're not. You're not.
Yeah, the first Merc dime I found underwater, I brought it home and I just left it and displayed it just like that because it was
Yeah.
so cool looking because for the time that it had spent underwater that it just looked that way. I agree. A lot of things I don't clean. I usually clean until I can identify and then I get
Yeah.
really careful after that because I don't like ruin. I ruined my first large cent trying to clean it. So
You and me both, dude. And I swear, I found it, and I swear it was in 1899, and they made like none of them. They made them, but here's the story I got about 1899s: is that when the government minted those 1899 large cents, they made a lot of them. But the reason why none of them were around is that they went on ships and got sent over to Africa, and the fleet sank. So they're on the bottom of the ocean somewhere, long corroded and gone. But I,
hold up.
like, could see the date, and it was like, I gotta clean it a little bit more to get it better, and it went, fell right off.
Well, I know. Well, wait a minute now. 1899, there was no large
Or
cent.
1799, 1799.
1799. Okay, I was getting
Yeah,
ready to say, man, if there's an 1899 large cent, I got to go find one.
yeah, I know. Gosh, need more coffee, you know?
Yeah, it's the large cents around here usually are 1820s are about as early as we find. Um, but like the first time I found a half cent, I thought it was I thought it was a clad quarter. I thought it was the state's quarter when I found it. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah,
And
I feel like I felt the same thing. There was a spot that was close to here. There was a mill there, and it was a flaxseed mill, and it was real old, 1790, I think it was built. I went and I looked. It was probably like February, There's a little bit of snow on the ground, but I detected there, and it was one of these blue sign properties. So if you're not familiar, New York, and I'm sure a lot of other states, put historic markers on historic properties. And it's not a means of protection. It's just like a way for people to learn a little bit about it. And so I went there and there was nothing. And I'm like, dude, I'm convinced there's something here. And I spent so many hours just scouring that place. And I finally stumbled upon what was probably the starter home site. And I found a half cent there. I'm like, oh, is this a quarter? Like, what is this? This is a weird size, And I didn't really even know half cents were a thing at the time. My wife wanted me to show you this.
oh,
So, little pillow. We got the coil pillow, and then she made she made our doggy a little chief digger dog bed.
oh,
Yep. So, and I just knocked everything over. That's what I do.
yeah, making stuff for that doggo. All right, I'm gonna draw this ticket out here. It's 1018. It will be. I'm scrolling the email address across the bottom of the screen. We got 27 entries, and I'm gonna draw this thing out here. You got about 30 seconds. It'll be a miscellaneous sticker pack. I will probably throw in a bunch of stuff with it, just to make it really nice for you today. And we are giving the 3 men in a tub, 3 detectorists in a tub sticker that Charlie ate. So I'm glad to give one away. Here we go. We got 29 entries, and I'm going to roll it off. Thank you guys very much, and here we go. Must be present, or I'll draw it again. Grandma Kelly, are you still here? Grandma Kelly, are you still here? Grandma Kelly. She said she was leaving. I don't know if she left or not. Let's give her a minute. Yeah, there she is. Miss Kelly, my email address is going across the bottom of the screen, or you can just text me your address because I don't know if I still have it. So just let me know. And thank you very, very much for being here. I appreciate that. Get this dropped off. Congratulations, Miss Kelly. All right. Well, you know what? I just as weird as this conversation went today, and it didn't kind of go it didn't kind of go the way I had planned for it to go, which is fine. It's better. Sometimes it's better that way. You're going to have to come back sometime here later in the summer, and we'll do this again.
Heck yeah, man. Anytime.
All right, I'm going to close this thing down because I have a long couple of days ahead of me. As much as I would like to be off and be doing fun stuff like swinging a metal detector, I've got on-call stuff to deal with work, so I can't go visit people that I wanted to visit this weekend. I was supposed to go to this Freedom Fest, and it just didn't work out that way. But to everybody in the chat today, thank you guys very much for hanging out. Make sure that you sub and take care of Mr. Patrick here at Amphibious Detecting, Matt and Lindsay at the Traveling Hobbyist. And I will see you guys next week. I will leave you with my old intro that I don't play anymore. Let's drop that out there really fast because it's too long.